A terrifying, but true story I experienced when I was 12. I moved to my dad's when I was 10 and didn't know anyone in the area, except for the family my dad was friends with. Single mom with 3 kids. Luckily there was a girl a couple years older than me, 12 at the time I met her, and we got to know each other a little over a couple years. We weren't close, but ended up having the same friends. One night my friend Rob was hanging out with her and her younger brother. They happened to be in the house alone because my friend's mom was at work, which is where this gets terrifying and sad. Her mother has been helping this one lady, through her work, and got to know her fairly well. She found out her sister was in a mental institution and was let out recently. The night Rob is hanging out with my friend, they get a knock on the door. My friend thought it was just their mom. She knocks a certain way when coming in, and answered it without thinking. Rob wasn't supposed to be there and he took off through the window to his house down the road. He never thought twice about it. Wasn't her mom. It was the sister of the lady her mom was helping. And she figured out through talking to her sister where her family lived and her mom's working schedule. She came in, and this is where I don't know details and I'm glad I don't. My friend's younger brother got away to the neighbors to call the police. The lady brutally murdered my friend a week from Christmas, decapitated her and left her body, naked in a bathtub, hit her head. They had to look through the presents and I don't know where they found it, but they did. I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral. What is your scariest true story? My sister and I were playing outside when we were younger and an elderly couple was walking by our yard. Our yard had a cemetery in the back, so it was quite a common local attraction for tourists as this house was built in the 1800s, and most of the graves were from children who died back then from the flu, etc. There are some creepy stories from that place, but nothing lives up to what happened all those years ago. Playing outside, and this old couple kept pestering my sister about what her name was, as they approached us, and got closer. We were just little kids, and got terribly scared, and ran inside and told our mom what had happened. The following week I heard a story on the news about an elderly couple approaching a teenage girl, kidnapping her, and raping her, and it was the same couple that had approached my sister and I. I still get creeped out by that. Coming home to horror. I remember reading ages ago about a guy who was in the military. He got back home after a tour of duty to find his wife and 2 kids dead. They lived in a remote location. Turned out the mom had a sudden heart attack or stroke or something and the 2 little kids had died of starvation or dehydration as they were too young to care for themselves. Natural disasters. The story of the Lake Nyos disaster. The lake periodically belches a cloud of invisible carbon dioxide gas that suffocates everything within a 16-mile radius. In 1986, over 1,700 people and all their livestock died without even understanding what was happening to them. Tiger attack. I'm not sure what the entire story is, but there was a body discovered somewhere in Siberia. His cause of death was freezing, but something was off. Turns out, he had been attacked by a tiger. The tiger used his jaws and grabbed a guy by his backpack, picked him up over his head, and slammed him so hard that it snapped both of his femurs. Poor dude lived 3 days after the attack, crawling around in the snow. What is your scariest true story? I was sitting in my room, after getting out of work, on the 2nd floor. Little bro is downstairs watching TV. The dog is in the hallway outside my door sleeping. All of a sudden dog starts making all kinds of racket, jumping round, barking, clacking nails, howling. I go to get up to see what's up and I hear, "Oh, that's a good girl," in a male voice. It didn't sound like little bro, so I go, "Oh, you're home early," thinking it is my dad's friend / our roomie as I open the door. Soon as I'm out there is no one at all but the dog wagging her tail staring at the empty end of the hallway. Little bro comes upstairs to yell at me for getting his dog riled up. Said he heard the same voice thinking it was me or our roommate. We did a once over of the house with my butterfly knife and his BB gun and there was nobody. Still gives me the spooks to this day. What immediately makes a man / woman unattractive? Parents still do their laundry well into adulthood. Years ago, before meeting a blind date for the first time, she told me over the phone that she hoped that I didn't wear glasses because she found them unattractive and couldn't see herself dating a guy with glasses. So, I met her later, and she wore glasses. I find hypocrites unattractive now. They say they don't like dinosaurs. Dick pics taken on the toilet. My dad once told me a story about a woman he was dating. They stopped at Walmart and she needed to pick up fruit. She asks a worker where the mangoes were and they pointed her to the passion fruit. She yelled at them and told them they were an imbecile. As soon as they left, my dad dropped her off and dumped her. So, yeah, being rude to workers is 100% a turnoff. Liking me romantically. Can't stand someone with such bad taste. Braided nose hair. Woman tried to get in my car at a stoplight. I don't live in the best area, but it's close to my kid's school and it's what we can afford. I was in line at a stoplight waiting for it to change so I could get to the school to pick up my older kids. I had my toddler with me. While I was waiting, I heard my passenger side handle move like someone was trying to open it. I always lock my car doors out of habit. My car is older so they don't lock automatically when I start the car like newer ones do. I look over and there's an older woman aggressively trying to open my door. My window is cracked a bit for fresh air but not all the way down. She reached up trying to get the window to go down but couldn't get her fingers in. "Woman, excuse me, I need you to help me out. I need a ride." Now I'm all for helping people but not when they are trying to get in my car with no explanation. You just don't do that. Me, do you need me to call 911? Woman, no, you need to help me. Let me in. Come on now. Help me out. Pulls on door again. Lucky for me the light changed and I told her sorry but I have to go. I can't help you. I drove off and haven't seen her since. It's the only way to get to my kid's school, so I have to drive through that way about every day. Lady, let's not meet. What are your Black Friday horror stories? An 80-year-old grandma tackled and then bear maced a woman over fleece fabric at my store. The old lady wanted a cancer pink ribbon fabric, and the woman she ultimately tackled had called ahead and ordered a bulk amount of it, because she works for a cancer organization and makes blankets for cancer patients. The woman was wheeling a cart in the store with several large bolts of the fabric in it, which she had special ordered, and we put it in the cart for her so she could continue shopping. Old lady sees that this woman has all the bolts and it isn't right that she's hogging the entire stock of that particular print. The woman explains the situation and that she in fact special ordered these, and that the reason she was coming in on Black Friday to purchase them is because they were a major Black Friday promotion at 60% off. The old lady continues to yell at the poor woman. The woman very calmly keeps trying to reassure her that she is not taking any of the store stock, and that she makes blankets for dying women with breast cancer. She is a very sweet store regular who pays out of pocket for all the blankets, and so my store held the fabric for her until Black Friday, when she would come in and purchase them with her coupon. Old lady doesn't give a shit. Whips out mace and tackles the woman. Old lady gets kicked out of the store. She would come in once every couple of months, give me the stink eye, and then rebelliously write down recipes from the home and food magazine so she wouldn't have to buy them. Then she'd scurry out and come back in a few months. What was that incident during Thanksgiving? My grandmother ran over herself with her SUV. I was on my way to the festivities when it happened, so I don't know the exact details, but she was getting out food from the back of her SUV, put it in neutral instead of park, and it slowly ran her over. The craziest part is that my family, all inside, didn't notice until they heard a bump against the house. The SUV made 3 loops before hitting the house. She ended up being fine but now isn't allowed to go outside alone anymore on holidays. This story is now a "oh, grandma" moment in our family. So my uncle didn't want to cook the turkey in the oven, so he just shoved it in the microwave for 2 hours. We called him asking how it came out later, and they were shooting hoops with it outside. I was probably 6 or 7 at the time. My mom's candles caught the kitchen curtains and some decorative greenery on fire. My sister and my cousins and I were at the kids' table in the kitchen while the adults were in the dining room, so no one of significance noticed anything except me. My mom threatened us with pain of death if we annoyed the adults during dinner, so I quietly walked to the dining room and stood silently for a minute or two, until someone noticed me, and only then did I politely say, "Sorry, but the kitchen's on fire." My mom still gives me grief about my prioritizing politeness over sense. What was that incident during Thanksgiving? I was around 5 to 6 years old. Us kids were playing hide and seek and I hid way in the back of Grandma's closet. While I was hiding back there, I found this beautiful deep red robe. I assumed it belonged to my grandfather who died just after I was born. I tried it on and it was huge on me, but the silk felt really smooth and cool, so I decided to go ask my grandma if I could have it to grow into. Turns out Granddad was a Grand Dragon in the Carolina KKK and it was his ceremonial robe. The family members who didn't know about this already were highly upset. The ones who knew were embarrassed as hell. There was a small riot when I walked into the kitchen wearing it. That was an awkward Thanksgiving. My aunt not being able to come because she was in jail for trying to shoplift a turkey from the grocery store. One Thanksgiving my older brother took over cooking duties. He had just graduated from culinary school and was an amazing chef. My aunt and cousins came over to find a juicy turkey and amazing sides. She likes her turkey burned apparently and made her family not eat the dinner. They all watched us eat. My mom was so pissed they never got invited back to our house for any event for years.